Well, it is hardly a big surprise. A new survey says Vancouver is the third most unaffordable housing market in the entire world. Those high prices mean huge mortgages for young people, driving away families and keeping away potential workers. We have heard promises from the province, but no action. Is that because our ministers have too much at stake? CTV's John Woodward investigates.
For the Coopers' growing family, trying to find a home in Vancouver is tough.
We own a place that's like less than 600 square foot, but with a child, we needed something bigger.
But they couldn't afford one, so they own a studio, but rent somewhere else.
It's ridiculous. Prices here are ridiculous.
Prices that rose as much as 30% this year. Young people especially despairing.
I'd love to buy, maybe in like 100 years.
The BC government promising action, but nothing that will bring prices down.
We want to do it in a way that doesn't chip away at the equity that people already have in their homes.
Affordability isn't a problem for our MLAs. 80 out of 83 members own. 21 own a second Victoria home, and 37 of them own recreational or investment properties. And the BC Cabinet, who make decisions on housing policy, are doing even better. Their properties rose $2.3 million last year to $27 million. The average increase, $103,000, an MLA's salary. The Premier made $160,000 on her own home. International Affairs Minister Teresa Watt made $365,000 on 2 properties. Justice Minister Suzanne Anton made more than $750,000 on 4 properties, 5 times her salary. Finance Minister Mike DeYoung made a small gain on his 8 properties. This professor says those gains come at a cost.
Public officials, they are good, well-intentioned individuals, and they need to be able to wear multiple hats, one of which includes thinking about the housing market from the perspective of people who aren't getting this big equity gain from the housing market. And in fact, that those gains that some are benefiting from are crushing others.
Does the personal stake that the ministers have in this housing market impact the decisions that are made?
No, you can't have a minister with just one house impacting on the marketplace in any way whatsoever.
This isn't just one house. This is 4 houses. Some people have 8 properties.
No, they don't come into account at the table.
The amenity.
Adrian Dix is one of only 3 MLAs who don't own. He's not calling it a conflict of interest.
On this issue, government has been out of touch for a decade.
The Coopers doubt those in power will do anything for them.
They don't know what it's like to just be regular middle-class people.
Now, we looked for big NDP increases as well, and the biggest one we could find was George Heyman, TransLink critic, at $133,000 up on 3 properties.
Okay, John. So Adrian Dix won't describe it as a conflict of interest, but let's be clear on this. Is it a conflict of interest for politicians to own property and at the same time be responsible for provincial housing policy?
Yeah, Mike, so we asked the expert, BC's conflict of interest commissioner. He told us that a large number of British Columbians, if a large number of British Columbians would face a similar conflict, it's not a conflict of interest, but a large number do not own millions of dollars in multiple properties. So it's an open question whether that's a conflict. Mike, Tamara?
All right, John, thank you very much for this.